Afternoon, everybody. It is 2 o'clock in Finland, 1 o'clock in the rest of the Nordic countries. Welcome to the Eurocard webinar Hassle-Free Expense Management. I hope you all can see and hear me. Let's not start just yet. Just give a few minutes when people are joining. Just to explain a bit what's going to happen here. It's going to be quite a rush through all our solutions here, our how we can help you with your expense management. But before we start, just to loosen it up a bit, sure you all are, most of you are probably at home. I'm actually today at the office, just so that I can have a good web connection here for the webinar. But normally I'm sitting at home also. But just to make sure that you can hear me, you can see everything, just right there, there should be some on the bottom there, a Q&A or a chat box Q&A. Then just comment there. What are you seeing when you look out the window? Do you see trees? Do you see another house, cars? Anything that you can see? I can see, well, actually nothing because the blinds are shut in this meeting room. I can normally see here in a courtyard. We are placed in the center of Helsinki here. It is snowing. That is cool. Lots of trees and snow. That's so fun. It's so much more fun when it's snowing, right? We have white, and it, especially up here in the north, it's a bit gloomy. Roadworks, cloudy and rainy. Co-workers, cool. Somebody's at the office. Excellent. Trees. See and hear you well. Good. And there's somebody who sees the ocean. That is so nice. So when you look outside, you just see like the vast open ocean. Fantastic. A parking lot. A pool house. Now that is nice. Trees and sunshine. Great. Gray and rain. That's interesting how different the weather is depending on where we are. And even the Nordics is usually said that the Nordics is one place, but we are actually we're 4 different types of countries, 4 different types of people, and a lot of different kinds of weather. Somebody can see their dogs. That's good. Excellent. So we are starting to gather a good group of people. Somebody's changing tires on their car, a neighbor. That's good because if we have snow, we want to have the correct type of tires. Excellent. So we are a bit warmed up here. I'm warmed up. The reason why I keep looking down is because I have my presentation here in front of me, and it's not a TV camera with a nice prompter here. So I try to look you guys in the eye. But what's going to happen today is I want to talk about why expense management is important, first of all. But what does it mean actually when we talk about expense management? Then I'm going to go through the tools that we in Eurocard offer you guys. And then what about those receipts in a digital world? But how rude of me, before we start, I just want to present myself. My name is Tove Siliakus. I work from Finland. I work in sales, Eurocard, and I help small and medium-sized businesses run smooth with their expenses. I have been with the company for a bit of just under 4 years. So I can't really say that I'm a huge expert, but I'm very passionate about this subject. And you guys, we have almost 100 online, so I'm really excited about this. What's going to happen today is I'm going to go through this. You're going to have a chance to, at the end, to do Q&A. If you find you have questions, please do just put them down in that question box that you just wrote something in. We will get to each and every question, if not live, then afterwards. And if you don't feel comfortable saying the question in English, you can do it in your own language as long as it's Finnish, Swedish, Danish, or Norwegian. I do know a bit of French, and I'm sure somebody knows German. But if you stick to those languages, I'm sure we can get that question answered for you. So I'm going to do a poll here. Now you have to activate. Um, Next slide was going to be a poll you're going to have to choose. How many people work in your company? And of course, what I'm referring to people who do work where you could actually try need cards and so forth. So let's see if this works now. So if you can pick and choose here on your screens, you should be able to answer here. Ooh, stuff is happening here. Yes, I can see we have a few larger companies also joined. That's great. That's great. Come on. How many people work in your company? In your area that you can like I can choose how life happens for these people. Great. Come on, some more answers there, some more. If my colleagues are out there, you don't need to answer to these polls. That's fine. I know that I have a few colleagues on the line also. We have more people could be answering now. I'm going to give it to you now. Pick one. There's 5 choices. 1 to 10, 11 to 20, 21 to 50, 51 to 100, and over 101. So choose one, and I am going to publish the results. This is. So I hope you can see this now. So we have a third of you guys are quite large companies, over 100 people. Then we have 21 to 50 and 51 to. So we have quite a lot, quite big numbers employees here. So okay, that's good to know. Good to know. But then expense management. Why is this so important? Let me tell you that typically in the segment of small and medium, uh, this is not seen as very important. And I am going to share with you some actual numbers. I have a pad here, so I need to do a little bit of, I checked these numbers this morning. So why is this important? Well, it's very easy. You need to know how much working capital you have to spend. So how much can you invest in your business? How much money can be put aside for something other than your rolling expenses? And what is working capital? Well, it's what you have and then deducted by what you owe. And this is where it gets tricky. So what you have is the cash in your bank, or the accounts receivables. So when you sell stuff, you send an invoice, you know how much somebody's owing you money. So you know this. This is quite well handled. But then how much you owe is both your accounts payables and then short-term loans. Obviously long-term loans also, but that's the part of working capital. Short-term loans, and this includes debt to your employees. Now, just for fun, I took up a few stats from our data. On average, a company would have, if we look at companies between 1 and 50 cards, they have on average 5 cards in one company. You guys spend, no, not this year, last year, 2019. Average spend is to 720 euros per card per month. That's 8,644 euros per year. This amounts to, if a 5 cards average, remember that, to 46,000 euros per company per year. Now, if you don't know this sum, if you do not know how much you owe, it's going to be very difficult for you to have a grasp on how much money you have to play with, how much can you invest, how much can you buy that new production machine, or can you buy that new stock that you need? So this is why it's important and why everybody keeps talking about you need to know your expenses. So again, another poll. How do you pay today your company expenses when you are out and about? Do you have a company debit card? This means that it's taken directly out of your company bank account. Do you have a company credit or a payment card, like a Euro card or another that you pay each month? Or do you use your private card, your own card? So these are three choices, because I hope that you don't steal the coffees that you take. Okay. Many people have company credit and payment card. That's really good. That's good. Private cards, some private cards also. Good. Okay. This is really good. We have a lot of company credit and payment cards. This is good. Then you are already one step ahead on having control of your expenses. Remember the sum, 720 euros per card per month. That's the average use of a company card, according to our stats. So it would be good to know that sum, right? Okay, let's close this off. No, we're getting a few more. Still thinking. So if you have a company debit card, that means that it will be deducted instantly from the company's payment, company's bank account. So like if you have a private debit card, when you use it, it goes away from your bank account. Then you have a company credit or payment card, and then your private card or private funds. You could pay with cash also, but who does that? Well, I know that some people still use cash. My kids do. Okay, I'm closing the poll here, and here are the results. So we have, most of you guys have, 82% have a company credit or a payment card. This is really good because this is step one of having knowledge of your working capital. So what is exactly expense management? Well, expense management is really these four steps. It starts with you actually doing a purchase. Then you report it somehow. Somebody approves it, and then it's booked. Now, this is expense management. This is not anymore expense management. When the bank or the issuer sends you an invoice, that is not expense management anymore. That's just an invoice for payment. So this is really important to understand that we differ between these two. So an expense management process, this means that you know what you owe your employees. And then you start to know how much money you have, how much working capital you have. Okay. Now we are jumping into the tools, and this is where I'm trying to make it as interesting as possible. So what tools do we have? But first, again, one more poll for you. I promise I only have one last after this one. So it's, how do you manage today your expenses? So do you have like a random document and receipts? For example, you take the invoice and then you just staple the receipts to that invoice, or do you make an Excel document and then you scan your receipts? Or do you have some sort of a non-connected manual system? Do you have a connected system with file transfers? That means that from the card issuer, like us or somebody else, there are files going into that system, and you then tick off and somehow add receipts. Or is it the fourth one? I don't manage then. You just go with the receipts to your bookkeeper and say, make magic happen. There are people still who do that, by the way. So it's good to do a self-check here. Hey, how do I actually do this? How should I be doing this? So we're having random documents and receipts, and then we have some connected systems with file transfer. So I'm not surprised about that because we have okay, somebody's saying that the polls are not working on the iPhone. That I'm unfortunately I can't. I don't know that how to make it work. Yeah, but luckily I think we are in luck because I'm closing the poll now. I think we have enough answers. None of you says I don't manage them. That's really good. You all understand that somehow you need to report these. That's good. Okay. So it's quite the even spread here with both the random documents and the connected systems. As I said, that we have quite a few of you larger companies here, and they tend to have these larger systems. I'm going to touch upon this too also today. Moving on, a good expense management process it's easy to use. It should simplify the work for both the cardholder and the finance department, the management. And it should increase your control and actually make people happier. Because when you don't have to hassle with the receipts, it's actually not a pain. We've made several research studies on this subject and find that people just don't like making those expenses because it's such a hassle. So we try to remove that pain. The building blocks of a good expense management system is actually not that difficult. You start with having a card, the Euro card preferably. You have some sort of a system, a fixed system, and then you have the people who use the system, and they are all part of this. So you have the technology, you have the processes, and you have the people. And now comes busy slide, but let's take it in pieces. So we here at Eurocard realized that we want to help our customers with this. This has been our longest running project, and we have been trying to eat the elephant one piece at a time, and we are starting to have devoured almost all of the elephant. So we have solutions for all sizes of companies, regardless, depending on what systems or process you already have, what systems or processes you need, and then what type would fit you best. So we have divided them into groups. This doesn't mean that you can't, if you are a small business but you would love to have that middle part, that's fine. But in a sense, the products fit best for companies that are of a certain size because of the sheer number of cards that are involved. So we're going to look at for whom they are, what type of system you have, which app you should be using, and then what the service is called. And I'm going to go through them all. So we start with the small business, the one that it's supposed to go. So if you are a 1, 2, 3 card company. So we start off with this. Everything starts with the app. You have a phone, and on that phone you have an app. It's called the Eurocard Pro. And when you buy something, you will instantly have the transaction visible on your phone. You will take a photo of the receipt, and it will set the VAT and category of the expense. Just going to show you here. So you see here, first picture you have, when you open the app, you have every single transaction. You click on, here is Casa Deluxe, and there is no receipt added. On top there is a camera icon, you press it, the camera will activate, and you will take a picture of that receipt. When you want to make a report, this is called the report manager. So you actually make individual reports of several transactions. What you do is you swipe down from the top. So it's a swipe down movement, and you will see that picture. So it says create report. Then you select the dates, first to last month, usually quite good to have that division. Once you have selected the dates, you can take which of the transactions you will add there. Because sometimes you might just use your company card for a private purchase. And you go like, oh, darn, I wasn't supposed to buy that champagne on my company card. So you can just untick that one. And then a report is created and an email is sent. Now you as a cardholder, you're done. You don't have to do anything more because this email has gone to the report manager that you have selected. That person will get the email and there's a URL and they will click it and that will take them to a portal. They have a one-time password through an SMS service and they can now access each and every report. Here is every single report of this employee. You can have several employees and go into their database of reports. If you open one report, you see a list of all the transactions here. And then if you click on a transaction, you see the receipt and you see the details on the right-hand side. Then what you do is you download the report. You download it as a PDF and a CSV, and then you download a zip file containing all the pictures. And this is where it becomes important. These receipts, the zip file, you won't no longer need them, but only for audit purpose. So save them, store them in your own file service. Create a tree that says like this, for example, 2020, 01 January, 02 February, and so forth. And then just store them there. And if the big bad taxman comes and says, I want to see your receipts for March 2020, you can just pull up that file. But you have to store them. And if you're from Sweden, you still have to store those paper receipts. So try and get that legislation changed, okay? But you only need these pictures here. Remember when I started to what is expense management? When the invoice comes, you don't need the pictures anymore. You don't need to add the receipts together with that invoice anymore. If your bookkeeper has access to see the picture of the receipt in this report manager portal, you're fine. I can see that somebody is talking about APIs. We're going to get back to you on the APIs at a later stage because it's more detailed. So this is the report manager. At its simplest form, very good for you who have one card, two cards, who want to keep control of your own expenses, but requires a bit manual work. Now we move on to the slightly larger companies who might have anything between 5 and 50 cards. We even have customers who have more than 50 cards on this system. Now I'm going to go through what's called the expense manager. Now this is, the first one was report manager. This is the expense manager. Now we go into a more sophisticated system where you can do more stuff. Again, everything starts with the Eurocard Pro app. So the same thing happens. You will use the card. The transaction will appear instantly in this app, and then you can add the receipts. This is where it differs because the transactions is then instantly moved over to the portal for further control. And so it looks the same in the beginning. You open up the Casa Deluxe, you choose, you have the receipt there. And by the way, if you're photographing the receipt, try and find a slightly darker background so that you don't photograph it against something white, because most of receipts are white and it will have difficulties finding the edges. Then you can add a comment here. You can add a comment. Actually, you can add the comment on the report manager also. I forgot to tell you that. But there is a comment field there. Somebody was just asking about that. And you can write an explanation for why did you actually go to coffee with John at Savoy or something else. So you can do that. Write an explanation. And then, whoopsie, let me go back. Sorry. And now when you have done this, you're done as a cardholder. Remember that report that you have to do in the other system? You don't have to do it here. You just click submit, and this is sent automatically to an expense management portal, which is then accessed by your manager. So, as a manager, you can choose to go into this system once a week or twice a week or whenever you want to, because the transactions will just come in flowing. Anytime that they use the card and click submit, the transactions are here. So everybody will be doing their expenses on the fly. And here what you can see in this side, on the left-hand side, you see a list of people. And on the right-hand side, you see that person's, now we have highlighted Maltas Kvarnström, and you see all of Malta's transactions here on the other side. So you don't see a report because there are no more reports, they're just transactions. And highlighting the transaction, you can see the receipt and then what it is for. You can then, as a manager, you can reject it or approve it and do different stuff with this. So if you reject it, it will go back, and then Maltas will have to explain a bit more why did he take a taxi at 2 o'clock in the morning. Then once the manager has approved this, it will move over to the controller. Now the controller, again, as the manager approves, the controller can go in and just control these expenses. Make sure that we are using the right VAT categories. Make sure that this is actually something that you are allowed to deduct, like if you're going just colleagues drinking after work, I don't think that the controller will be happy to put that on a company card unless it's for training purposes. So the controller here checks everything out, that the receipt and the explanation, everything is fine and dandy. And then he controls it and it's done. Just like that. Now, integrations here. You can integrate this with your bookkeeping, because when you set up this system, you will have to do a bit of work in the beginning. You will have to set up your general ledger here. You will have to tell which account number equals what book here. So let's say you will have to have restaurants, but you might want to have internal meals, and then customer meals, and then entertainment or something like that. And they each have their own accounting number. When you set everything up and you have a bookkeeping system, this will match once you do the exporting. Now, you can integrate this with your bookkeeping, and then you press on this yellow button here and says export to bookkeeping. And then you can see that this category here has changed to now they are exported. I know that these are small, these pictures, but bear with us. We have a lot of material available for you guys if you want to know more. Okay, so we have direct integrations with two major systems in the Nordics. We have with Fort Knox and with Economic. This means that you can integrate this in the background, and once that is done, just press that yellow button and it magically integrates there and you are done. But because there are so many systems, we can't have direct integrations with everything. But luckily, Bill Gates invented something cool called Excel. So by doing an Excel or a CSV file, you can export this file and then import it into your ERP. And check with your own ERP provider how you can do it the most easily. It shouldn't be too hard. You should have there a place where you say import data. We have example files available, so we can send them to you so you can test. Also, the integration part, we have help available, so just contact us if you need help there. Now, there's some extra features, some cool stuff here that I just wanted to bring up. First is filtering. Now, on another funny note, I mentioned data before. We have a lot of it. Anybody care to guess how many of all transactions are below a value of €5, percentage-wise? If anybody would like to guess, you can just put it in the chat box. So somebody uses the card and the value is below €5. I can tell you that it is 11.2%. So just over every 10th transaction is of a measly less than €5. Parking tickets, not parking tickets, but when you parking and other small amounts, coffee and so forth. 25%, so every fourth transaction is actually below €10 or 100 kroners. We're still talking about the very low amount of money. And if you think that you as a manager or a CEO or a CFO spend a lot of time checking these receipts, that is really, I wouldn't say it's worth it. So what you can do here, you can filter according to value. So let's say you want to select everything that is below €8 and then just do a bulk approval. You approve everything that is below €8 and then done. You save a ton of money. So that's pretty cool, I think. You can also do like bulk actions on a lot of stuff. This was just one example. Another thing that is very interesting to know is split category. Now, when we again get to travel, you know that when you go to hotels, you pay the bill, and the hotel is the room and then the breakfast. And these two have different VAT codes. So you need to split that because there is a lower VAT on food than there is on hotels, if I remember correctly. So you can do this. So this is really cool also. Okay, and again, same thing with those receipts. You download a zip file of, say, all the receipts from January. You don't even have to split them by employee. Just do all January receipts. Save them in your own file structure, because a third party would never take liability for your receipts. They are yours to have, and the taxman will come after you if you don't have them. Question, is it only the controller that can split the category? I believe that the manager can do it also, but you can be, okay, to the roles, you have administrators, cardholders, managers, and controllers. You can actually be them all. You can be a cardholder who is a manager and who is a controller, so it doesn't have to be that difficult there. The cardholder can't split it in the app, it's done in the portal. Excellent question. And I will double check this, and if I said anything wrong here, I will get back to you guys. Okay, this is a nice picture, huh? Remember when you could travel? Remember? You would go to this place called the airport, and you would take this big bird and fly somewhere and have business meetings abroad. Well, I haven't done that for a while. I think I was last time abroad in actually Sweden. Skiing on day this year. EU VAT. So when you're using a taxi, buying in a restaurant or hotel, there is the VAT part that you can get back. I don't know if you knew that. So this is the last poll, I promise you. And Do you reclaim your EU VAT today? So if you could say just yes or no here, if you claim it back or not. I'm going to take a sip of water in between when I'm waiting here. If you don't know, just leave it open. Some of you might not know what your company is doing. I can tell you it's so strange sitting here knowing that there are almost 100 people on the other side and I can't see you, but hey, this is what the world's gone to. Okay, I have a lot of questions here. So quite a few of you are at the moment missing out on this opportunity. Yes. So how much could you get back? I'm going back to those figures that I told you earlier on about that the average amount is 720 euros per card per month. And we also have more data. So spend in EU, so that means that the Swedish person traveling anywhere but in Sweden would be around 248, 250 euros per month. It's actually of that 720, so 250 is spent somewhere else than in your own country. So that is 2,973 a year. So if a company would have the average size of 5 cards, you just do your math for yourself. So 3,000 euros a year. That's 15,000 for this company with 5 cards. So approximately 17% can be claimed back. So we're talking about this company that has 5 cards to travel on an average basis could get every a year back 2,687 euros. That's already money. So this is good and it's completely free. You get it back. Now, how many of you would like to have money back, taxes back? So this is also done via our service, the expense manager. So when you have the expense manager, you can hook it up to Vattax. And this is done together with our partners, PwC and Cardlay. So question, do we take a percentage or a cut? We do something. Yeah, we do take a bit of money there. You don't get everything back. This is a business for us. So yes, we do take a bit. Through this service, the expenses are categorized and then we are making the work for you to claim that money back. And let me explain, it's not that easy actually, but it is easy for you. So the cardholder, the only thing that the cardholder has to do is to say a few things about this expense. So say you have a taxi receipt, the expense manager, the app, will actually recognize this as, hey, you, a Swedish person, are sitting in a Spanish taxi. You are eligible for VAT reclaim. Do you want to reclaim that? Yes, I do. Click, and then it's going to ask you like, are you alone in the taxi or are you sharing the taxi with somebody? Because then it's different levels of reclaim that you can get. And then it's 1 or 2 questions. That's it, and you're done as a cardholder. What happens next is you, as a controller or manager, will go into the Vattax portal on a quarterly basis and do a bit of adding data here. Just very few questions to answer, and then you click on the blue button here, and the blue means cash. Even the green means cash, but here blue means cash. And what we do here now, or actually our partners do here, is that they contact each and every tax authority in the countries that you have been to and say, hi, we would like 500 euros back from you. We would like 400 euros back from you and 2,000 back from you and 5,000 back from you guys. And then it's collected and then it's paid out to you. Quarterly basis, you get money back. That's quite nice service. And yeah, so it's pretty nice to get the money back, right? But you need the expense manager for that one. Okay, we're coming towards the end here. So large companies. So these are the big companies who have a lot of cards. I mean, over 50 cards, you should have a serious expense management system. This is just our recommendation to our customers. So if you're a large company, you probably have an expense management system where you have so-called direct file transfers. That means that we send every night a load of transactions to your systems. We work with basically all of the larger 10, that's travel expense management providers, and have direct transfers. And some of these are what we call smart receipts compliant. And I'm going to explain a bit more. So this is a list from our website, so the list can be found there. So we have Accountor, Busware, KMD, Infor, Visma, M2, Xledger, and so forth. Unit 4, DCOM expense. Yeah, so you see, there are a lot of them. These are smart receipt compliant, and what that means is what I'm going to explain in the next picture. So now we turn to another app. It's called the Eurocard app. So not the Pro, but the Eurocard. And it works in the more or less the same way. When you use your card, the transaction will appear in the app, and you click on it, take a picture of the receipt. You know the drill already. Now what happens here, or you can actually add from a PDF if you get a new receipt from an email, and so forth. What happens now is that this transaction and the receipt file is transferred to this expense management system, which is smart receipt compliant. And then when you open up your M2 and to do your expenses, you already have the picture of the receipt. You don't have to do anything more. You just to give explanations. Again, why did you go to lunch with John in Savoy? But we're taking this up another notch because we realize that customers don't want to deal with paper receipts or receipts in general. So we are currently introducing something called true digital receipts. So this means when you use your Eurocard, if that merchant, now we go on to the merchant, that is the taxi company or the hotel or the train line, if they are true digital compliant, they will recognize your Eurocard number and they will send this digital receipt to the same receipt hub, and it will then flow directly to your expense management system. The cardholder will never see a receipt, and he will only get a notification in the app that says, "Bing, your receipt is coming." So that's what we've done with the larger companies. So again, what about those receipts now, the paper ones? Does this look familiar? You know, stapling stuff to paper and then scanning the whole thing? You do not anymore need to add the receipts to the invoice. This is an old process. Please try and move away from that. Because as we said, expense management is about this first line. It has nothing to do with actual invoice. The invoice lives its own life and has nothing to do with controlling each and every expense. That's why the invoice line is usually doesn't have any facts on it. It just says something, 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 10 euros. I see that question. I just got a very long question in Finnish. We're gonna answer it to you separately. So I've seen it and we will react to it. Thank you. So again, just emphasizing this, you only need the digital copy of the receipt for auditing purposes. If you are in Sweden, you still need to store the receipt in the original format. This means that if you got a paper receipt, you have to save the paper. I don't know what they're going to read from it, because a heat paper, actually the ink dissolves in a year. So go figure. Yeah. What next? How much does this cost? Okay, the first one, report manager, that's 350. This is euros now. It's on our website, you can see in your local currency. It's between 30 and 35, 40 kroners, depending on the which kroner we're talking about. But just for sake of euros, I'm talking euros. You get the first month free. It's the card holder who holds all the chips here, so you sign up yourself through the app. You say, I want to have the report manager, and just all you need to do is to name a report manager and say, okay, Maria is going to be my report manager. Here is her email address and her mobile phone number. Mobile phone number. That's it. And it will be invoiced on the card every month. Now, the expense manager, if somebody has heard about this product before, we have very good news. We have extended our free period to 3 months. So just jump on the bandwagon and sign up. There are tons of help on the portal, so we can help you get started. That's 750 then a card holder a month. It will be invoiced after your free period, and it will be invoiced in beforehand for a year. So it's the company signs up on our website. And if you're interested in smart receipts concept, then please contact sales. You can find sales through either, if you remember your key account manager, or go to our website to contact us. And here, if you go to our website, eurocard.com, there are 2 sections here. One is smooth payments, the other one is effective follow-up. Here you can find all of these different products. We actually call them expense manager and expense reporting in the app. And in the local languages is something like utläggshanteraren, which is the expense manager, eller utläggshantering i appen. Kulujen käsittelypalvelu, or then kulujen raportointi sovelluksella. It's not really easy, I'm sorry about that, but if you find problems finding the right one, then just contact us and we'll help you. Some excellent questions here. Okay, let's see here. We have questions. We have a few minutes here. Yes, people are now worried about that because we are not using the cards every month now, and there's a low activity on the cards due to the situation that we're in. I don't want to use the C word. Then yeah, it is the situation that in the expense manager you will you will be invoiced for 12 months in advance for every card that is in the system. In the report manager, you can choose to not use it a certain month, and then you just stop using the service, and then you just start using the service again. Do that. But yes, if you contact us, we can see exactly how much are you or are you not using the cards. So we can actually see that in our systems. Okay, can you ask the controller add the rest of the missing receipts after God has sent the report? No, if you don't get the, well, as a controller, what you should do, if you get the report, transaction in doesn't have the receipt connected to it, you should decline that transaction and say reject it and send it back and say this is missing the receipt. Yeah. Um, no, unfortunately, we are. There's somebody asking about another accounting system, 24/7 Office. As I said, we are only connected directly to Fort Knox and Economic, and those two are directly integrated. Otherwise, please check with the system provider that can you upload a file which is in Excel or CSV. Okay, there are a lot of questions here, but I think that you have been very patient and great sitting and listening to me. I know this is not the most uh, I try to make this fun, but yeah, well, you'll be the judge of that. Thank you very much for your time. You will get a recording of this webinar, so if you missed something or if you want to check it out again, if you have asked the question and we haven't answered, we will definitely get back to you. Just give us a few days to get sorted with all the questions. We are people around Nordics working on this. And then later on, you will get a second email with this presentation as a PDF, and then a link to a YouTube recording of the same webinar, because we tend to want to put them on save these so that you can go back to them anytime. And we are about 100 salespeople in this organization who just love to work with you guys. So please get in contact with us. Our direct email address to us is sales@eurocard.countrycode or expense manager at eurocard.countrycode. So eurocard.fi.se.dk.no. Or then just go to the website and then click on the thing on the right hand side saying contact us, and it will find its way to us. So I thank you for your attention, and please stay safe out there, and hope you have a very Merry Christmas, because it's 1 month to Christmas. Who knew that? Thank you very much, and have a good day. Bye.